We owe the country to strive toward the best possible policy options, not just to joyfully embrace anything on the theory that it's better than inaction. This especially applies to dealing with collateral benefit for the malefactors of risk on Wall Street. We need to work to eliminate the subsidies to Wall Street firms and to close the giant loopholes in executive compensation limits. Transparency is good but insufficient. We see clearly, transparently, that the federal government was screwed out of $78 billion. We see billions in dollars of bonuses. And Wall Street firms are going to keep the $78 billion. The executives are going to keep the bonuses. Sunlight may be a disinfectant, but it does not kill all pathogens. Chairman Bernanke, your statement was good, but it did not contain a single dollar figure. I hope you would provide for the record, in a simple dollar amount, the total risk taken by the Fed so far. By that I mean, assume that every security that you own or have a lien against is worthless except for those backed by the full faith and credit of the United States. What is the total amount that taxpayers would have lost by actions taken so far by the Fed? Now, I know that you've told us that you believe you're fully secured, but Wall Street gave AAA to Alt-A. The Secretary of the Treasury overpaid by $78 billion, and he says he was trying to pay par. He was just off by 31%. So you can imagine that there's some distrust in the country as to what fully secured means or whether Wall Street and the financial establishment is correctly valuing assets and risk. Section 13.3 is an enormous grant of power. I know you've told us that you can only make loans if you are secured to your satisfaction. But as Mr. Hensarling pointed out, in the hands of another chairman of the board, that could be no limit at all. And under desperate circumstances, even you might say, well, I'm satisfied with bad security, otherwise the entire country is going to collapse, and so I'm satisfied to be able to do something. I cannot think of the words that will really limit you in terms of the quality of the loans you make, since it's up to you what's good security, what's bad security, and what's in the national interest. So if we're going to limit your power at all, we can do so in terms of quantity. Mr. Chairman, would you actively oppose legislation that limited the total risks that you can take to $12 trillion? To say that all of the risks you take, other than the purchase of securities backed by the full faith and credit of the United States, cannot exceed $12 trillion. And if that's a bad dollar amount, what else do you suggest, or is it necessary for the quantity of your power to be utterly unlimited?
Well, our balance sheet is currently $2 trillion, of which 95% I would say is gold-plated secure, and the rest is largely secure. So 12 trillion sounds very comfortable to me. I don't think that would be a problem. But quite frankly, seriously, we take very seriously our obligation to make sure that our loans are well secured. And I think that a loan to a strong financial institution overnight with collateral, given that we've never lost a penny in such a loan, is not adequately considered as being a highly risky loan.
I don't consider it highly risky, but I think there should be limits on the low risk that you take. Moving on to my next question, the Oversight Board on TARP has documented that the taxpayer got screwed by $78 billion by certain institutions who received cash and gave us securities worth far less than the cash they received. The question is, I believe that the taxpayer should be unscrewed. That is to say that these institutions should provide additional securities to Treasury to fully compensate us for the cash we've given them. Those firms that refuse to unscrew us, those firms that say, thanks for giving us $10 billion for $7.5 billion in securities and we're keeping the difference, can they do business with the